How do pool pros just seem so unbeatable, and why so many good amateurs will never reach that level? I was so desperate to find the reason, so I decided to dive into it and start watching the top pros more closely. I took notes, paying attention to very small details that sometimes seemed stupid, but it turned out to be exactly what I was looking for. My name is Adam, and in today's video I'm going to break down the 5 skills that instantly separate pool pros from really good amateurs. And no, I'm not talking about fancy shots. I'm talking about the real, repeatable skills top players use every single game. Skills that prove they are pros, and we unfortunately aren't. Skill number 1. Pros want to be closer to the next ball. Let me tell you something most players never realize. Amateurs judge accuracy by whether the ball goes in. Pros judge accuracy by how little they have to move after the shot. If you constantly leave yourself with long shots, awkward bridges, jacked up cue positions, you are not missing because of bad aim. You are missing because your previous shot was inaccurate. And here is the key idea. Accuracy in pool is position accuracy, not pocket accuracy. A pro who lands 6 inches closer runs out. An amateur who lands 2 feet away starts fighting the table. And here is the simplest pro level upgrade you can make today. Before you shoot, imagine a dinner plate on the table where you want the cue ball to finish. Not a point, not a vague idea, a physical circle about 10 to 12 inches wide. Why this works? Because your brain is terrible at stopping the cue ball on a dot. But it is extremely good at delivering into an area. Pros never chase perfection, they create margin. Watch pros closely. They rarely land perfect, they land close enough every time. That consistency is what separates a freeball run from a rack run. Accuracy isn't about brilliance, it's about repeatable proximity. Skill number 2. Pros prefer multi-rail cue ball control. Here is one of the biggest hidden differences between amateurs and pros. Amateurs try to protect the cue ball, but pros try to free the cue ball. Most intermediate players lose position because they are scared of distance. They try to hold the cue ball, slow everything down, avoid rails, baby position. And what happens? They land short, they get straight in, they run into traffic, or they lose angles. Meanwhile, pros send the cue ball free rails across the table and somehow land perfectly. It looks risky, but it is actually more reliable. And here is a mindset shift that changes absolutely everything. Rails don't create mistakes. Indecision creates mistakes. A rolling cue ball becomes more predictable after contacting rails because spin stabilizes, speed evens out, and angles become repeatable. Pros aren't gambling, they are using physics. And here is the simple hack that will instantly upgrade your position play. Add one more rail than feels comfortable. If your instinct says one rail, play two. Two rails, play three. Why? The table becomes easier when the cue ball keeps moving. When you try to hold the cue ball, speed must be perfect. But when you go multiple rails, you create margin for error. And this is why pros look effortless. They are giving themselves forgiveness. Skill number 3. Pros are playing the next shot first. Alright, let me describe a situation every pool player knows. You make 2 or 3 great shots and suddenly you are stuck. Wrong angle, no position, run out over. Most players think they failed execution. But here is the honest truth. The mistake happened 2 shots earlier. Amateurs play shot to shot. Pros play pattern to pattern. Pros almost never think about the shot they are shooting. They are thinking about the shot after it, and sometimes the one after that. And here is the fastest way to start thinking like a professional player. Never plan forward. Plan backward. Before bending down on any shot, identify your last key ball. Then decide where the cue ball must land for that ball, and then work backward to your current shot. You are solving the rack in reverse. For example, let's talk about this 9-ball layout. The first thing you should do is imagine that you have a ball in hand on the 8-ball and where it is the best to position it to get an easy shape on the 9-ball. And of course, it would be best to position the cue ball perfectly straight to the 8-ball and just draw the cue ball back. But honestly, there is a very small chance to make that positioning to the 8-ball from the 7-ball. So instead, it will be much easier to leave the cue ball in this area with a bit more angle to the 8-ball. In the next step, we need to consider where the best position for the 7-ball is, from which we can create the desired position for the 8-ball. Of course, if we had a ball in hand, we would place it somewhere in this spot and simply move it straight toward the 8-ball without touching the rails. But once again, we have to plan backward and consider 6-ball. Instead of trying to position to a very small area, we should simply leave some angle on the 7-ball again, which will allow us to make comfortable one-rail positioning. And right now, we come to the final point where we need to consider the best position for the 6-ball. Any angle on that ball will give us a good chance to move the cue ball towards the intended area. Having a prepared layout in this way makes it much easier for us to make decisions, and the most important thing is to always consider larger position areas instead of small points. The dinner plate rule I mentioned earlier may be very useful in our considerations. Amateurs fall in love with the current shot. They focus on difficulty instead of sequence. Pros are willing to play a slightly harder shot first to make the rest easy. Skill number 4. Safety play. The skill amateurs avoid, but pros depend on. Okay, now let's talk about the biggest silent leak in amateur pool. Most players lose games they were never supposed to lose. Not because they missed, but because they forced offense when offense wasn't there. And yes, you know this moment. You are slightly out of line. Angle isn't right. Runout feels shaky, but you still attack. Why? Because amateurs think this way. If I don't shoot, I'm giving up. Pros do the opposite. The best players don't win by making more shots. They win by forcing you to miss. And right here is a professional truth. Safety play is not defense. Safety play is delayed offense. A good safety shot often wins the rack faster than a hero shot. Pros aren't trying to escape trouble. They are trying to create trouble for the opponent. Before every offensive shot, ask yourself, am I at least 70% to get shape on the next ball? Not pocket the ball, but get shape. If the answer is no, you play safe. No hesitation, no ego, just smart pool. Here is something amateurs underestimate. Great safeties change the emotional flow of the match. Your opponent suddenly thinks,
I can't see anything. I'm trapped. I might sell out.
pressure builds, and pressure creates opportunities. However, playing a safety shot is one thing, but playing a good safety shot is something more complicated. Most amateurs are happy when they simply hide the cue ball behind another ball. However, when we play with a skilled player, it may turn out that we have just made a big mistake. Our goal should be to bring the cue ball as close to the object ball as possible to cut off any possible escapes. In amateur pool, this should be enough to force the opponent to make a mistake, but in high-level pool, it may turn out that even a brilliant safety shot will not keep us safe. And here is the hidden truth of high-level pool. Pros don't always run out. They just never give you easy chances. Once you understand safety play, you realize winning isn't about perfection. It's all about control. Skill number 5. The pre-shot routine that makes pros consistent. Okay, let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever played amazing pool for 10 minutes and then suddenly couldn't make anything? Same stroke, same table, same opponent, completely different results. Most players think inconsistency is technical. It usually isn't. It is mental randomness. Amateurs approach every shot differently. Different pace, different thoughts, different focus, and different confidence level. So actually, their performance changes shot by shot. Pros remove randomness. They don't rely on feeling good, they rely on routine. And here is something you might not notice watching professionals. They look calm, not because they feel calm, but because they repeat the same process every single shot. The routine becomes a mental anchor. Pressure goes up, match gets tight, the routine stays identical. That's why their stroke holds together when others collapse. You don't need meditation. You don't need sports psychology books. You need a repeatable sequence. Use this exact routine on every shot. No exceptions. Step 1. Decide while standing. All decisions happen standing up. Choose pocket, choose cue zone, choose speed. Because once you get down, thinking stops. Amateurs think while down. Pros execute while down. Step 2. A few practice strokes looking at the object ball. This connects your brain to the target. Feel the shot distance. No rushing. Step 3. A few practice strokes looking at the cue ball. Now confirm clean contact. This centers your stroke. You are syncing vision and mechanics. Step 4. The pause. This is the hidden pro move. Pause for half a second. Still cue, still body, quiet mind. This pause resets tension and prevents steering. Most misses come from rushing this moment. Step 5. Deliver smoothly. No extra practice strokes, no hesitation, just deliver. Commitment replaces doubt. Your brain loves patterns. When you repeat the same routine, anxiety drops, muscle memory activates, decision fatigue disappears. Instead of reinventing the shot every time, you enter automatic mode. And that's exactly where great pull happens. Here is the real separator between good amateurs and great pros. Pros don't trust confidence. They trust routine. Confidence comes and goes. Routine shows up every time. Once you build a pre-shot routine, you are no longer hoping to play well. You expect to. If you want to stop playing like an amateur and start looking more like a pro, here is what to do. Aim for zones, not pockets. Use rails aggressively. Plan backward. Play smart safeties. And finally, build a routine. These 5 skills are why pros look effortless. They are not more talented, they just use better systems. If you want to actually train these skills instead of just watching videos, check the link in the video description to Pool Billiards CO. Inside the platform you will find ready-made pro training drills and a powerful editor where you can create your own drills exactly for your weaknesses. Use the link below the video and you will get 20% of premium membership. If you are serious about improving, that's honestly the fastest path I know. If this video helped you see the game differently, hit the like button, it tells YouTube to show real pool education to more players, and subscribe if you want to start thinking like a pro, not just shooting like an amateur. I would love to hear from you which of these 5 skills is your biggest weakness right now. Drop your opinion in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video. Take care.